welcome to season 2 of Boogie's World. So, first and foremost, let me just go ahead and say Happy New Year because we are in a new year and we are in 2026. So, kind of what we're going to do with this, kind of what we're going to do with this season is a once a month kind of thing. Um, just some little updates for y'all. My birthday was a couple weeks ago, January 6th. I'm 25 years old now, so all the glory goes to God first and foremost. Give Him all the glory for it, for seeing another year around the sun, and I have stepped into my mid-20s. Granted, that is so weird to say, but I mean, it's true. I have stepped into my mid-20s. Um, a way I got to spend my birthday was actually sharing the gospel to the next generation. And like I said, all glory goes to God for it. But let me just share with you guys what I shared with them. So, what I shared with them was what the enemy meant for evil, God meant for good. And that was just the title for the sermon that I shared. And so the text that I got out of this was Genesis 50:20, which says, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it all for good. He brought me to this position so I could save the lives of many people." And so there was a time in my life where I felt like people were doing so many things to me that were so bad, and like it was harming me, where I felt like, you know, I didn't know who to go to. But the one thing I will say is I'm very grateful for the friends that God has put in my life, whether it's for that moment in my life, or it's for a lifetime. Thankfully, God put one of my best friends that I've known since I was 6 years old in my life through that time, to be there for me and to hold me accountable and to make sure that, I'm on the right path. And thankfully, he helped me get through junior year of high school with everybody talking bad about me, everybody going to like saying stuff behind my back and everything. So just to kind of go, like, just for a summary of who Joseph was in the Bible. Joseph had many, many brothers. And Joseph was the favorited son. And, he had the coat of many colors and everything. And his brothers get jealous. He tells his brothers that one day, I saw this in my dream, one day you guys are going to bow to me. And they didn't like that. So what did they do? The first point, Joseph's brothers sold Joseph into slavery. And you can see that in Genesis 37:23 through 28. Imagine if you have an older sibling, imagine your older sibling selling you off to slavery. Or it's not even a slavery sense of it, but imagine your older sibling going behind your back, talking about you negatively, saying to your face, oh yeah, I got your back, like we're family, like I got you. But then once you turn around, they're talking bad about you. Imagine being in Joseph's shoes and imagine how he was feeling when he was sent off to Egypt. And there may have been a season in your life where your friends even turned on you, where someone you were close with, or you thought that you were close with, they're talking about you behind your back, and they're saying all these things about you. And like, would that be someone that you would want to have as a friend? So just think about that. Then, once Joseph gets sold into slavery, Potiphar buys him. For those that don't know who Potiphar was the ruler of Egypt at this time. And so, Potiphar buys Joseph. Joseph's working under Potiphar, and he earns his respect, he earns his trust and everything. And then his wife, Potiphar's wife, tries to get Joseph to sleep with her. But Joseph said, no, this isn't right. And as he's running away, Potiphar's wife gets a piece of Joseph's clothing. And where we get to the second point of this is Potiphar chose to listen to his wife's lie instead of listening to Joseph's truth. And you can see that in Genesis 39:12 through 20. Have you ever tried to tell the truth to someone, but they just choose not to believe what you say and they believe what other people are saying about them? Put yourself in Joseph's shoes and imagine how he felt when Potiphar didn't allow him to share what really went down and for him to be punished for it. He gets thrown in the prison. And he could have been in prison mad. He could have been in prison upset. But he kept his faith in God and trusted God through it. And while he's in prison, he meets two people in prison. He meets these two people, and they had these dreams. And one of them was going to live, and the other one was going to die. And so time goes by, and Potiphar starts to have a dream. And one of the guys that were in the prison with Joseph said, "Well, I do know this one person that can interpret dreams." He brings Joseph out of prison. He interprets the dream Potiphar had. And then all of a sudden, Joseph becomes the second highest ruler of Egypt. And this whole thing happened, this whole famine thing happened, and they're about to run out of food and everything. And then Joseph's brothers come to Egypt to get food and stuff. And Joseph could have done the same thing to them that was done to him. But the third point from this story is Joseph chose to forgive his brothers for what they did to him. And you can see this in Genesis 45, 1 through 8, where Joseph reveals himself to his brothers, letting him know, hey, like, I'm still alive. I'm still here. Like, that person that y'all put in slavery, the person that y'all sold away, yeah, that's me. I'm right here, guys. Joseph had so much built up anger towards his brothers for what they did, but God used Joseph to find it somewhere in his heart to forgive them for what they did. How many times do we go through something that someone did something to us that hurts us and we just choose not to forgive them? Here are three ways to understand what the enemy means for evil. God is going to mean it for good. The first point is forgiving those that have hurt you. When we choose to forgive those that have hurt us, then what's going to matter is they're going to apologize to us for what they did to us. They're going to look at it as, "Oh, we really hurt that person. I think we should apologize to him." When they apologize to us, we can't hold on to what they did. We have to forgive them and move on and let it go and give it to God. The second point is don't hold on to what people did in your past. What someone did in your past, you can't hold on to it. Because then once you hold on to it, it's going to turn into built up anger. It's going to turn into a whole lot of drama, a lot of mess, and a lot of destruction in your life where you're just so angry because this person did this to you. But they're not worrying about that. They're more worrying about, okay, I didn't realize I did that to this person, but I'm moving on. And if they want me to apologize, I'll apologize. But I'm moving on and letting it go. And we can't hold on to what happened to us in our past, because then it'll just make us a lot more bitter. And the third thing is, let go of the pain and hurt that people cause in your life. When we let that go, that is when we start to realize that we're at peace with with everything that goes on. We're at peace with everything that's happened. We're letting it go. We're focusing on what God has focus. We're focusing on what God has planned for our life. We're focusing on what God wants us to do. And once we do that, we don't have any room for any drama, any trauma, anything that's happened. And this is where Genesis 50:20 comes in, which says, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it all for good. He brought me to this position so I could save the lives of many people." So just overall looking at it, when we feel like we're going through something and we can't go to anyone for it, you just know you can go to God with it, because God wants to hear from us. God wants us to be able to give it to him so he can take care of it and not have any weight. God doesn't want us to carry any weight. God wants us to give it to him so he can carry it. And so that's just the overall summary of what the enemy meant for evil, God meant it for good. The sermon I shared on my birthday. And I mean, throughout these past couple of weeks in the start of 2026, it has been a very give it to God. There's been so many moments where everything I've done, I've gave it to God and trusted God with it. And I don't know about you, but my challenge to you is, whatever you're going through, whatever struggles you have, whatever trauma you've went through, give it to God. It says in Matthew 11:28, "Come to me, all who are weary and carry a heavy burden, and I will give you rest." And then skip and then go to verse 30. It says, "For my yoke is easy and the burden I give you is light." So just trust in God with everything that you do, and anything that you're going through, give it to God. Let God carry that weight for you. And so that is it of season 2, episode 1 of Boogie's World. Next month, we'll give you the overview of the month of February when that time comes. But until then, peace.